Good morning, friends. It's Bob Branch. It's Friday morning, and we're in another daily Devo together. I'm so glad that you decided to join me. We are pursuing this theme of doing the things in our lives that refresh us, that actually fill up our tank rather than deplete us. And I think a lot of times we simply don't actually spend the time, we don't make the investment in our own personal life with God. And so we live empty. And so we're constantly looking to be filled up in all kinds of different ways. Well, with that in mind, we talked about, a couple of days ago, this idea that you have some fixed things that you and I need to commit ourselves to and stick with, and through thick and thin. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need to change them and change it up to do these things and to be creative in that. But it does mean that I think that what ends up happening is that we need to have some time to actually re-entrust ourselves to Him. And your time alone with God, the primary thing that you're trying to do and that we're trying to accomplish by spending this time alone with God is not to check a box. It's not to it's not to do the religious thing or to do the right thing. It is actually to lean into Him, to trust Him. Our time alone with God is all about leaning in and entrusting ourselves into His care. So we trust Him. And that time spent with Him is Mary simplicity in a Martha world. It's Mary simplicity in a Martha world. That we are in this place where we're entrusting ourselves, we're entrusting our lives to a person. Really important in this whole thing. And I'll keep saying this, that you are not trusting a principle or a promise or an axiom or a self-help, principle or even a truth. You're entrusting, and you're entrusting yourself to, and you're trusting a person. That person happens to be Jesus Christ, that you're trusting Him. It's what the Apostle Paul wrestled with in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, where he said, I've got this thorn in the flesh. And I wrestled with the Lord and I prayed. And the Lord said to me, I'm enough. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. Trust me, Paul. Lean into me. Trust me, Paul. That's what Jesus is saying to him. That's what Paul is finding out. That's his existential crisis that brings him to this place of simplicity of, wow, wait a minute. God is enough for me. He's enough for me. And so just to follow that theme a little bit further, our entrusting ourselves to the Lord, I want to ask you then to take today, and perhaps on a regular basis, it doesn't have to be every day, but to take today, and I want to ask you to entrust to God in this time alone with Him. I want you to entrust your unknowns to Him, your present unknowns and your future unknowns. And all of us have those things. All of us have these unknowns that are like, what's going to happen tomorrow? Especially in this coronavirus pandemic, there's so many things that we just don't even know what's going to happen, today or the next day. And, the state, we can meet together. No, we can't meet together. All these different things. And we got to be able to entrust our unknowns to Him. I love the way that Jesus says this in Matthew chapter 6, where He says, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough concerns of its own. He says, don't worry about tomorrow. What's the thing that we should do instead? We should seek first the kingdom. Those things that pertain to God's rule, those things that matter to God and what are right with Him. And we seek Him. And out of that, then things begin to take, we get perspective. God takes care of these things, but we seek Him. We put first things first. We put Him first in this. And so with this, you're entrusting yourself to a person. You trust a person, and you entrust your unknowns to Him. Your unknowns are different than mine, but all of us have them. Every single one of us have an unknown, and a list of unknowns for today. I don't know exactly what's going to happen today. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen in this, what's going to happen in my job, what's going to happen, with my family. My kids are going in this direction or in a bad direction. I don't know. And we entrust our unknowns to Him. Secondly, we entrust our concerns, our emotions, the things that have got us all bottled up. And these are the Martha things. Lord, tell my sister to help me. She's just sitting here listening to you, and I'm doing all the work. I'm doing all the heavy lifting. And what ends up happening a lot of times for us is that when we're all bottled up with concerns and anxieties, we overwork, we overcomplicate, we overfunction. Instead of leaning into the Lord and entrusting our concerns to Him, we actually just work harder. And I don't know if you do this, but I do this. and I can overfunction very easily. I got this, Lord. I can feel better about everything that's going on if I just grab a hold of everything and get control of everything. And this is kind of what makes control freaks work. So we entrust, like Peter writes so beautifully, cast all your anxiety on him, for he cares for you. We don't cast some of our anxiety on him, we cast it all on him. Lord, here are my concerns. Here are my feelings. Here are I'm revved up. I'm anxious. I entrust all of these concerns to you, Lord. My kids are, I can't control I couldn't control them when they were 2 years old. I can't control them when they're teenagers. I just can't control them. That's the moral of the story. So I entrust them to you. I entrust my concerns, all of my concerns to you. And you might want to write it down. And sometimes it helps to have something physical to be able to do, to write down all of your concerns and then to hand them to him. It's like you write it and you hand it to him. Or, sometimes when we've done baptisms, we'll have people bring, to make a list of all their sins, especially if they lived a pretty crazy life, and to bring that into the water in baptism, and then we'll pray for them, and they just leave it in the water, and when they get out, they don't come out of the water with it. There's something powerful about that symbolism. There's something powerful about something being concrete like that we actually write it down and that we hand it to him, and it does something within us. So we entrust our unknowns, we entrust our concerns and our feelings and our anxieties, and we entrust our past to him as well. And that is, a lot of us are just kind of ball and chaining it, that we've got our past that we're just dragging with us. Oh, I failed in this, or I got a divorce, or I had this thing or that thing go on, and it continues to amplify itself into the present, and we just can't break free from that. And honestly, I want to say to you that the enemy is driving that a lot. He's the one that's going to amplify in the accusing kind of category, but he's going to continue to say, you can't get free from that. You failed. You did this wrong. You sinned. You've done the unforgivable thing. Now, God can't use you anymore. God can't, God is no longer going to be in your life. All these different things. The enemy amplifies all of this junk. And part of the deal is we need to bring our past to the Lord and say, Lord, here is all of this brokenness. This situation with these people, or with this person, this boyfriend or girlfriend or teacher or parent or sibling or boss or anything, these things I bring to you and I entrust them to you. So we entrust these things to the Lord, our unknowns, our concerns, our past. And I think that some of us might think, well, gosh, I just seem to be always entrusting this past stuff to him. But the way that I've seen this work over a long period of time is that sometimes we need to go get some help with that, with some counseling or some things of that sort. But sometimes it just takes a little while for us to unburden ourselves to the Lord and unburden again and unburden again. And each time the tie of our soul to those things gets a little bit less each time, until it no longer has a hold of us anymore. Trust him. Your time alone with God is about trusting him, leaning into him, putting your full lean onto him. And we're going to live with Mary simplicity in a very busy Martha world. We're going to live with Mary timing in a very Martha anxious world. Thanks for joining me today. I love you. I'm praying for you, and I'm with you in this. God bless you.